Malaysia-Indonesia agree to implement Travel Corridor Initiative. No excuse in not understanding election SOP. Hello and good evening. I'm Shuhaida Arifin. Welcome to News at 10. Malaysia and Indonesia have agreed to introduce a travel corridor between the two countries through the implementation of Travel Corridor Arrangement TCA or Vaccinated Travel Lane VTL. This was agreed by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob and Indonesian President Joko Widodo following their 4-eye meeting at Istana Bogor in West Java, Indonesia. According to the Prime Minister, the Travel Corridor Initiative will connect Kuala Lumpur to Jakarta and Kuala Lumpur to Bali via flight routes.
Dan mungkin perangkat awal ini kita mulakan dengan Kuala Lumpur, Jakarta, Kuala Lumpur dan juga Kuala Lumpur, Bali, Kuala Lumpur. Jadi insya-Allah jika dipercepatkan urusan untuk detailnya, kita bersetuju tadi supaya joint statement akan kita buat untuk kita mengumumkan pembukaan border antara Malaysia dengan Indonesia.
The travel corridor will prioritise fully vaccinated individuals with official travel purposes such as business, medical or humanitarian. This will also involve co-recognition of both countries' COVID-19 vaccination certificates and PCR test results. The reopening of border on gradual basis is vital in balancing the need to develop economy and ensuring the health and safety of the public. Meanwhile, speaking on Indonesian migrant workers in Malaysia, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri assured that the welfare and protection of these Indonesian workers will continue to be preserved.
Kementerian Sumber Manusia juga telah mewujudkan e-gaji dan juga portal khusus kepada seluruh pekerja di Malaysia, terutamanya yang melibatkan pekerja-pekerja dari luar Malaysia. Iaitu jika ada isu yang berkaitan dengan kelewatan membayar gaji ataupun segala isu yang berkaitan dengan pekerja-pekerja yang tidak berpuas hati dengan layanan yang diberikan oleh majikan mereka ataupun employer mereka, mereka boleh terus membuat aduan direct kepada Kementerian Sumber Manusia. Ini untuk memberikan perlindungan kepada pekerja-pekerja yang mungkin teraniaya dengan soal gaji dan lain-lain perkara yang selama ini tidak dapat mereka membuat aduan kepada sesiapa.
The Premier added that the Workers' Minimum Standards of Housing and Amenities Act 1990, Act 446, amended last year, guarantees comfortable accommodation for employees, not only for Malaysians but also for foreigners, including from Indonesia. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri and President Jokowi were also notified of the progress on finalising Memorandum of Understanding MOU on recruitment and protection of Indonesian domestic workers PDI.
Dalam pertemuan yaitu yang pertama mengenai pentingnya kerjasama perlindungan warga negara Indonesia yang berada di Malaysia. Saya mendorong kiranya MOU perlindungan tenaga kerja domestik Indonesia dapat segera diselesaikan. Kemudian juga mengenai izin Community Learning Center di Semenanjung juga bisa diberikan izinnya sesuai prinsip hak pendidikan bagi semuanya.
Both leaders also agreed that other issues related to Indonesian workers in Malaysia could be solved soon. In another development, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said Indonesians need not worry with the threat imposed by the emergence of the Delta Plus variant in Malaysia. Speaking later in a media conference in Jakarta, the Premier said this as Malaysia is on its way to fully complete its vaccination program.
Itu mungkin sebelum perbincangan saya dengan Bapak Presiden. Ya, Bapak Presiden pun sudah maklumkan tadi, dia akan memberitahu keputusan pertemuan tadi. Ya, dan saya percaya tidak perlu bimbang kepada kemasukan rakyat Malaysia ke Indonesia sebab kita sudah pun selesai memberikan vaksin kepada 96% rakyat Malaysia dewasa 18 tahun ke atas dan juga sedang di dalam proses untuk menyelesaikan vaccination program ini, memberi vaksin kepada golongan muda umur 12 tahun hingga 17 dan setakat hari ini sudah pun 65%.
Previously, Indonesian Health Minister Budi Gunadi Sadikin announced that the Republic would tighten its border following the emergence of the Delta Plus variant in Malaysia. Barisan Nasional today launched its manifesto for the Malacca state election themed Stability for Prosperity, which outlines 5 thrust areas and 103 initiatives. The hybrid launch of the manifesto held in compliance with the standard operating procedures set by the National Security Council (MKN) was officiated by BN Deputy Chairman Datuk Seri Muhammad Hassan, with Datuk Seri Sulaiman Ahmad Ali, the BN candidate for the Lendu seat, also present. Datuk Seri Muhammad, who is also the UMNO Deputy President, said the manifesto was a pledge to the people of Malacca that was guided by 5 main trusts, namely political stability, new economic leap, governance efficiency, a united society and sustainable development and sharing of prosperity. Under the main trusts, he also said that the coalition has made all its Malacca election candidates sign watertight documents that purportedly prevent them from changing parties midstream if BN wins in the 20 November polls to form the state government.
Bahawa ketidakstabilan yang berlaku adalah bukan disebabkan rakyat. Sebaliknya, pengkhianatan seumpamanya terjadi dek kerana tindakan pihak yang tidak bertanggungjawab yang meletakkan kepentingan rakyat di belakang.
In addition, he said BN also promised to provide an allocation to all the 28 Malacca State Assemblymen, including those not from the ruling government, to ensure prosperity for all of the people regardless of their political affiliation. A total of 7,601 postal vote papers have been issued by the Election Commission to those eligible to vote by post for the Malacca state election. The issuance of postal ballots was carried out by election personnel at all 28 states constituencies. EC Secretary Dato' Ikmaluddin Ishaq in a statement today said the total covered 6,871 for Form 1A for Election Commission personnel and officers, as well as police, armed forces and media personnel. There were 511 Form 1B for Malaysians living abroad and 113 Form 113 Form 1C for 9 agencies in security and health sectors, as well as 106 out-of-country absentee voters. The postal vote papers were issued according to the provisions under Regulation 3 of the Elections Postal Voting Regulations 2003 for the 15th Malacca State Legislative Assembly election. Dato' Ikmaluddin reminded all postal voters to mark the ballot papers, complete and correctly fill in the identity declaration forms and return them to the constituency returning officer before 5 p.m. on polling day on 20th November. Voters are also reminded to keep their votes secret by not taking pictures of the ballot papers and sharing them on social media. Political parties cannot use the excuse of not understanding or being unclear with the standard operating procedure for them to breach the regulations or laws stipulated during the Melaka state election. Melaka Police Chief Dato' Abdul Majid Muhammad Ali said the SOP and permit coordination briefing, which was attended by the National Security Council (MKN), the Election Commission and representatives of candidates as well as political parties, was to explain and clarify understanding on the matter. Speaking to reporters after a briefing at Melaka Police Contingent Headquarters in Aikroh today, he said all SOP and regulations set by MKN, Health Ministry and the EC were to prevent a spark in COVID-19 infections during the Melaka election.
So di bawah peruntukan undang-undang, dia mengatakan ignorance of the law is not the excuse. Mana dia kalau kita mengatakan kita tak faham SOP, kita tak faham peraturan, kita tak faham undang-undang, kita melakukan satu kesalahan. Itu bukan satu alasan proses undang-undang itu tidak boleh berjalan. Itu yang salah satu tujuan yang kita nak terangkan kepada wakil-wakil calon dan wakil-wakil parti, itulah mana dia kita nak beri penerangan sejelas-jelasnya pada dia supaya dia tahu tentang peruntukan undang-undang tersebut dan SOP yang dikeluarkan.
In this regard, he stressed that political parties and contesting candidates are required to apply for permits to use lorries or vans installed with loudhailers to campaign, and they have to adhere to the condition of not stopping randomly at any places and follow the set duration. A senior citizen has been charged with the murder of his son, who was slashed on the neck reportedly following an argument over a television channel in Ulu Bernam, Hulu Selangor. S. Krisman, 72, nodded after the charge was read out to him in the Kuala Baharu Magistrates Court today before Judge Nurul Madiah Muhammad Reza, who sat as a magistrate. However, no plea was recorded as the case comes under the jurisdiction of the High Court. Krisman was charged with murdering K. Apach Naidu, 37, at a house in Jalan Kemudi, Taman Bernam Jaya, Ulu Bernam, between 11 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. on 3rd November. The charge was framed under Section 302 of the Penal Code, which provides the death sentence upon conviction. A drug addict from Kampung Batu 5 was killed after he was knocked down by a speeding lorry along Jalan Gurun, Jenyang in Kedah minutes after slashing his elderly mother to death at their home this morning. This was the tragic end to a long-standing mother and son strained relationship over his drug addiction, with the last heated argument heard by a relative who lives nearby last night. Kuala Muda Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Azli Abu Shah said, based on initial investigations at the scene, the 31-year-old addict murdered his mother before he was killed in a road accident about 1 kilometre away from the house.
Kalau kita tengok setakat ni, kita anggap selesai lah. Macam saya berdasarkan kita punya finding datang, kita anggap selesai. Walau bagaimanapun kita takkan, kalau ada info maklumat luar yang mengatakan apa benda, setakat macam kita tengok saya sendiri masa sembahyang, tidak ada kesan geledah, kecurigaan. Kita tanya barang kemas pun ikut kata adik-adik dia, memang dia simpan di bank semua kan. Jadi kita tengok tidak ada unsur macam samun ke kecurian, tidak ada setakat ni lah. Tapi saya rasa lah kalau ada orang ramai di luar sana kata ada maklumat lain, kita akan sesat lah. Kita tak boleh tolak barang.
ACP Azli also believed the man has slashed his mother during a scuffle based on the discovery of self-defense wounds on the 71-year-old victim's arm and ear. According to ACP Azli, police received information regarding the incident at 7:30 a.m. and found the woman, Sarah John, at the location sprawled in the living room with a 5-inch slash wound to her neck. He added that according to relatives, besides drug abuse, the victim's son was also on medication for mental illness. Terengganu targets 3 million tourist arrivals next year. Users are not expected to pay high costs to get 5G services as the government has taken the matter into account before the rollout. Communications and Multimedia Minister Tan Sri Anwar Musa said that through Digital National Berhad (DNB), the agency implementing the network, the government had said that the cost for the facility should not burden consumers.
DNB akan bekerjasama dengan semua telcos ataupun MNOs yang sedia ada untuk memberikan perkhidmatan. Dan kalau macam sekarang ini, setiap telco itu membina prasarana-prasarananya sendiri yang menyebabkan ada duplication in terms of cost, dan kita merasakan kaedah itu sebab apa juga kos yang ditanggung nanti akan dipas kepada pengguna, kepada rakyat. Sekarang ni macam single highway ownership, built and owned by DNB, and later on to be used by all the telcos.
The minister said this after witnessing a presentation and demonstration on the 5G multi-operator core network (MOCN) by DNB at Telekom Malaysia Titiwangsa today. Tan Sri Anwar added that with the MOCN model, the government hopes to make Malaysia one of the leading countries for 5G network services in the next 3 years. This is important to the government because part of the planning of the 12 Malaysia Plan 12 MP depends on the country's ability to provide 5G service. In another development, Tan Sri Anwar said the government is considering giving slots to Melaka state election candidates, including the opposition, to campaign by government official television on radio channels. He said this is because the government understands the difficulties faced by all political parties, especially new candidates, to campaign in the new normal. However, the minister said discussion on the matter is still ongoing, adding that an announcement will be made soon.
I will have discussion with RTM especially later today, and if it is possible to make some kind of arrangement to give equal opportunity for every candidate, I will make an announcement in 1 or 2 days' time. Okay, we are looking into it. Saya faham apa yang mereka minta.
The Terengganu state government aims to record 3 million tourist arrivals to the state in 2022. State Tourism, Culture and Digital Technology Committee Chairman Arifin Duraman said the figure was lower than the target of around 5 million tourists in previous years due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which is far from over, and after taking into account the country's borders that are still closed to foreign tourists.
Kita nak letak sasaran tinggi sebab masih kita belum ada makluman bila pelancong-pelancong asing daripada luar negara. Tapi saya menjangkakan bila pulau dibuka, betul-betul buka lah. Sekarang ni tak tutup, tapi untuk keluar daripada musim tengkujuh biasanya bulan 2. Saya agak berkeyakinan bulan 2 ni pelancong asing dah boleh masuk Malaysia dan boleh pergi ke pulau.
He added since 20 to 30% of the tourists in Terengganu were made up of foreign tourists, the reopening of the country's border will further increase tourist arrivals in Terengganu. He said this to reporters after the launch of the Terengganu Tourism Sustainability Strategic Plan 2021-2025 at Wisma Darul Iman in Kuala Terengganu today. In another development, Arifin said the state government would leave it to tourism operators, especially on resort islands, to decide on whether to close or continue their operations during the monsoon season. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah today received the credentials of 13 foreign envoys to Malaysia at Istana Negara. Present at the ceremony was Raja Pemaisuri Agong Tunku Haja Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria. Deputy Foreign Minister Datuk Kamaruddin Jaafar and Foreign Ministry Secretary General Datuk Seri Muhammad Shahrul Ikram Yaakob were also present. The envoys include Bulat Sugurbayev of Kazakhstan, Nineta Barbulescu of Romania, Dr. Hajara Salim Ibrahim of Nigeria, and Edmundo Fon Lopez of Mexico. Sugurbayev is formerly the director of the Department of the America of Kazakhstan's Foreign Ministry from 2015 to February 2021, while Barbulescu was Romanian non-president ambassador to Nauru in 2019. Dr. Hajara, on the other hand, has served as head of the Table Division of Nigeria's House of Representatives National Assembly between 1993 and 2015. Meanwhile, Lopez has served as Mexican ambassador to St. Lucia from 2012 to 2013. Coming up in sports, Malacca top Group C to avoid quarter-final clash against JDT. Stay with us. Malacca United advanced into the quarter-finals of the Malaysia Cup after defeating Kedah 2-0 last night, securing the top spot in Group C. The win was much more meaningful for Zainal Abidin Hassan's squad as they go through to the knockout rounds with an unbeaten record, having only drawn once to accumulate 16 points, as well as avoiding meeting defending champions Johor Darul Takzim in the last 8. In the last night's action, midfielder Sonny Nord proved to be a thorn to the visitors' defence, and it was his attempt in the 24th minute which led to Malacca's opening goal. Kedah goalkeeper Muhammad Ifat Sheikh Kasim could not hold on to Nord's attempt, and Manuel Ott was quickest to pounce on the loose ball and slot home Malacca's first goal. Despite Kedah's relentless effort to equalise the game, the hosts secured their victory when striker Giovanni Gomez headed their second goal in the 89th minute. As group champions, Malacca will take on Group D runners-up Sabah FC in the quarter-finals after the Rhinos edged Petaling Jaya City 1-0 at the Lika Stadium in Kota Kinabalu. Meanwhile, Super League champions Johor Darul Takzim JDT ended their group stages with a 100% record after thrashing Kelantan FC 4-0 at the Sultan Muhammad IV Stadium in Kota Baru, Kelantan last night. The Southern Tigers, however, had to wait until the 48th minute to draw first blood through striker Muhammad Shafiq Ahmad. Leandro Velasquez then doubled their lead with a coolly taken spot kick in the 60th minute before Guilherme de Paula struck in the 62nd minute. Shahrul Muhammad Saad also chipped in during injury time to complete the rout. JDT, who have 18 points, top Group D and will meet Group C runners-up Kedah in the last 8. Alright, so that's it from us this evening. In our top story, Malaysia-Indonesia agreed to implement Travel Corridor Initiative. Join us for updates at noon at 12:30 tomorrow. I'm Shuhaida Arifin. Thank you for watching.